Queer Wars 2. So we had Queer Wars 1, which I think was a video we did in which there was arguments within the queer community as they describe themselves. It's not a slur. It is the term that has been reclaimed. And now we have Queer Wars 2. So if we can get this up, the first image, Andy reporting here. A gay man wearing a Alliance LGB shirt has his property stolen and was forced out of the gay pride event in Manchester by radical trans activists shouting, "Trans lives matter." Militant trans politics has come to dominate most gay pride events. So this was a gay pride event, as, the typical pride events are these days. And a guy turned up with a shirt that says LGB Alliance, and he was kicked out by the LGBTs. So the LGBT Alliance kicked out the LGB Alliance.
That's not very inclusive of them, is it? What happened to that principle? Oh, we're a very inclusive movement. We're for everyone except if you disagree.
And the way they did this is shouting "Trans lives matter" at him. So let's play the first clip so you can get a view of this.
Trans lives matter! 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 Trans lives matter!
I think that some people are joining in with Black Lives Matter as well. They're mishearing the chant.
I'm sure the LGBTs can feel very good about themselves, kicking out the LGBs, because they're not to be involved. Presumably it's all just T's left, which from the posters actually, maybe.
Is this all lost on them, apparently? Just we don't want to be excluded from society. We want to be like normal people, but then when they've got a little bit of power, immediately, as soon as someone does something they don't like, gone.
Yeah. Well, the LGBs have got their rights. T's knee right now, therefore you're not interested, you're not involved in this protest anymore. How dare you argue for LGB rights? Would be the thing there. I did love how they were shouting, "Get out, boy." It's very much reminding me of Little Rock, when they were integrating the schools. And you see the police presence there protecting the LGB Alliance from the people around them shouting, "Get out of here, boy. You're not welcome in this community." So, okay. That's something to think about. We're also shouting, of course, "Trans lives matter," because that's the difference. You've got the LGB Alliance, which is a group of people who fight for gay rights, tolerance. I'm sure this would be the kind of thing they talk about, is describing themselves. And yeah, okay, that's a thing. And they've recognized that T on the end doesn't really have anything common to do with the LGB, because LGB is all about sexual preference. T is about gender identity. Different things, therefore different objectives, different goals. It's a weird thing that they became meshed, and of course led to the nonsense of LGBTQIA plus TUP, so on and so forth. If you don't cut off a limit, there isn't one. And the LGB Alliance being a group that did cut off a limit and say, we're about people who are homosexual, bisexual, or lesbian. Basically just gays or bisexuals, really.
So the Trans Lives Matter chant doesn't really make sense here, because he's not saying, they shouldn't exist. They should be... it's not like he's saying that their lives are meaningless or anything like that.
No, of course not. But he is, of course, in the realm of reality that men cannot biologically become women. That's the heresy, obviously, which is why they're all screaming about trans lives. So I just wanted to get a look at the state of these people. So we go to the next one. We can just see some of these images if you could click through them. So, the first one, every event, even at Swindon Pride that we went to, the dog costumes. What's my sexuality? Dog. Right. Okay. So let's go to the next one here. Of course, you have the trans racial pride flags. This one called Rainbow Noir, which, yeah. Let's go to the next one as well. You have this woman, the one who was shouting, "Get out of here," with her arm, and then the next image. I just love how much of a Cali B word she looks. With the glasses. Like the kind of person, you know the meme. Anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So we go to the next one. There's, of course, the verified checkmark queer response, which is "Well done, Manchester." Trans flag. Homo flag? I don't know what the right term for that conservative pride flag is at this point, because it's no longer the LGBT flag, is it? It's the LGB flag.
I'm not, just as a matter of principle, I'm not keeping track.
I know.
They've got that one rainbow flag, that's it. I'm not going to allow any others.
But it is amazing. The pride movement attacking each other over the fact that you're the wrong kind of gay. You're not queer with us, you're queer with them.
You're not gay enough for us.
Rightio, all right. But of course, it has nothing to do with being gay. It's the radical ideology of trans ideology of the idea that you can biologically become a man or a woman, which of course lesbians or gay people cannot buy into for the obvious fact that you can't force a lesbian to suck a cock just because you call the cock a female cock. Not going to work. Anyway, so let's go on to this. So let's go on to the next one here. So this is him continue to complaining about this, the leftist response. And he has some tweets from the person who was kicked out. And he says his LGB supporter seems to also be post homophobia and racism. And his example is the guy posting, "Yes, I'm white and gay, not cis. That's a silly name trans use to cope with life. No idea what POC LGBT is, but sounds like a prescription from your doctor that will get rid of it." Yeah. So this is his homophobia and racism for saying, I'm not an alphabet person. I'm just gay. Like, that's what it should be about. It should be about gay tolerance, acceptance, the traditional movement of these folks who are liberals versus the weird communist people who have declared reality an enemy of the people. Anyway. Let's move on from this. So what else have the group there decided to do? Well, they've decided to start a petition to pressure media into deplatforming their opponents, which is how you know they're the good guys.
Oh, yeah. Deplatforming, that always shows that you're in a position of absolute power, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, kicking out people from your protest for being the wrong kind of queer and then starting petitions to censor your opponents. The width of tolerance is just coming through the air. Anyway, so in here, they provide their reasoning for why media should not talk to LGB Alliance. The UK media continue to provide an uncritical platform to the self-described LGB Alliance, an organisation many in the LGBT plus community feel is a hate group and does not represent them. They do not speak for us, and they should not be quoted or asked to comment on issues affecting the LGBT plus community without clear and unequivocal reference to their status as a perceived hate group. The LGB Alliance are widely thought of as an anti-LGBT hate group. As such, any discussion with the UK media should frame them with respect to how they are perceived within the LGBT plus community.
There's a lot of interesting stuff going on there.
That's amazing.
I like how they have the nerve to be like, yeah, they don't talk for LGB people like us, even though that's who it's made up with.
I love it. Like we speak for gays, not them. How can you tell? They don't have the T at the end. Right, okay. So it's literally like the group of radical, gender ideologues, and then you have the LGB Alliance, which is the people who were in the movement who have now left and formed their own group to be like, hey, no, we're drawing the line at, gay tolerance. They don't represent gay people. We represent gay people, the LGBT plus group. I mean, this is the criticism Enly labeled at the gender ideologues, which is, of course, they don't represent most homosexuals, because when you ask most homosexuals, so on and so forth, they hate these people. And, well, I mean, you can just look at them. Like, the kind of people who go to these parades and are ideologically involved in that way, they are not normal people within homosexual groups. They are the fringe of the fringe. And they honestly, endlessly claim, like, we represent homosexuals and so forth, and they obviously don't. And they've always hated that criticism, but now they're using it against the LGB Alliance, who is explicitly just gay people who are like, yeah, we're not up for gender ideology. We just want to be accepted. I mean, amazing. But also the fact that they're just like, yeah, our opponents, hate group. Really? What have they done? I mean, you kicked them out of the Pride event forcefully. I mean, you ended up getting the police having to escort him for his own safety out of your Pride event from the group of diversity and tolerance. And also, you're now trying to pressure the media into not talking to the enemy because they have different opinions. And they're the hate group, are they? They're the ones spreading hate, not you.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a chance of love I heard there. When
get out of here, boy.
Accusatory fingers, yeah.
Like, get the authorities to escort him. Not going to be safe. Owen Jones had something to dribble on about as well, so he also had, of course, the same position. He says, media outlets note the LGB Alliance does not represent lesbian, gay, or bisexual people in any shape or form. But the LGBTs totally do. They totally represent homosexuals, but the LGBs, they don't represent any homosexuals. I can't get over just the brain-dead take of being like, yeah, that alphabet group doesn't represent them, this alphabet group does. Even though, of course, the only difference between the two alphabet groups is the T bit. And the LGB is trying to claim, okay, we can speak on homosexual issues, and that's the line, that's where we're dropping it, LGB. But the T group is like, no, us transgenders speak for the gays. The gays don't speak for the gays. Amazing. Anyway. So I also wanted to demonstrate, again, how these people are totally not hateful. I mean, we go to the next image here. I mean, the people using racial pride flags, and they're using black power fists are totally not hateful, especially when they're screaming at people at a protest, "Get out of here, boy." But, okay. So someone tweeted in response to this situation, condemning it. So we go to the next one. Someone else, Helen Joyce, I'm not familiar. And she says in here that woke homophobia is going to get someone seriously injured soon. I could believe it. Yep. I mean, these people are zealots for their ideology and will not accept dissent, as evidenced by them kicking out a dissenter.
I mean, it couldn't get more explicit than that, can it?
Yeah. Anyway, but it turns out apparently he was assaulted. So if we go to the next one here, this is some guy who tweeted in response who was very proud that this guy had been bullied out of the entire thing. So he says in here, the first image, we can get it up, bullying the guy in the LGB Alliance shirt who came to the march is my favorite part of Pride so far. Kiss, kiss. The movement of love and tolerance. I love bullying people. That's entirely what this movement is about. Let's be frank.
Well, it seems like it. It's so ironic that something that supposedly came out of protecting people from prejudice and bullying is now becoming the main force in society of doing so to others.
Yeah.
They've clearly not learned their lessons, have they?
He later went on to issue another statement in this, in which he was talking about, like, oh, I tweeted about this earlier. I was celebrating, and still do, the bullying of the guy. However, physical assault is bad, he goes on to say. It's like, right, so the guy ended up apparently getting physically assaulted after the camera stopped rolling. So, yeah, he did get injured. He was assaulted. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's the way Queer Wars is growing. They're going to have the LGBs physically fighting the Ts in the streets. Right. Okay.
I didn't expect this to come so soon, though, to be fair.
I was more expecting the Islamic LGB parade that was planned in Britain to be the spark for this sort of thing, but apparently...
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
I think it's still postponed, but it's happening.
Oh, right.
And Lawrence Southern's going to be the primary speaker, I hope. But I also just, like, you were mentioning about the line here. I mean, there's obviously the two groups. I mean, there's so obviously the group of people who are like, yeah, gay tolerance, acceptance, and then the people who are like, yeah, gender ideology. Men can literally become whatever they can become women if they just say so. And also, I don't know, you mean dog is a fetish. Dog is a sexuality. Leather is a sexuality. What else is your sexuality? Bunny wearing suits?
Just the idea that everything is socially constructed is so obviously wrong. Like it can take you like 2 minutes to refute it.
Yeah.
Easy.
But anyway, I mean, if you needed a way to wake up some people on this who are still on the train of like, I'm for LGBT plus acceptance. Oh, there's a Q&A at the end. Well, I'll add that to my flag. Like, people who are not really paying attention. This is a great example, where it's just like, look, there are two distinct camps here. One talking for gay tolerance acceptance, and one talking for a million other things. And what group should you be supporting, rightfully? And it's got to be the tolerance and acceptance group, surely. So the LGB Alliance have issued a statement on this, and they say, LGB Alliance defends the rights of lesbians, gays, and bisexuals, whose rights in law are based on sexual orientation, not gender identity. Of course, the fact that LGBT as a term it doesn't make any goddamn sense, even in the construct. Ironically, Pride was originally created to promote those rights. It's ludicrous that a gay man now can't assert those rights at a Pride event without being harassed and evicted. This shocking incident shows that today's LGBTQ+ movement is dominated by gender identity extremism. Correct. Those who take a different view, including trans dissenters, are hounded out. We strongly reject this mindset and will continue to promote our message of just, traditional being like, yeah, liberal standard, we don't want to discriminate in law kind of thing. I don't know where they stand on bake the cake or any of that stuff, but it's, there's the obvious difference here of just being like, here's our limit. They can at least point to one. They don't just put plus at the end and just leave it up to your imagination to what kind of things they're going to declare a gender or sexuality in the near future.
They're pretty upfront about what they actually believe, right?
Yeah, we got gays, lesbians, bis. Right, done. That's the end of the conversation. Not plus, in which, I don't know, you can sneak a P in later on, perhaps.
I was just thinking that, actually.
Yeah, one of the problems these events have. But some people taking memes out of this. You can see this one here. One of these things is allowed at Pride. The other gets you thrown out. Which one is which? And for people listening, on the left, there's a person wearing the LGB Alliance shirt and a person on the right. It's three guys in dog costumes wearing nothing but the dog masks, some leather straps, and presumably some underwear. I hope for the love of Christ. Next to some child, a little girl with a pride flag, being like, hey, look, doggy men. I mean, it's disgusting. And one will get you kicked out, one will get you celebrated by the gender identity extremists. So there's also the question of, will he get justice out of this, the guy who was physically assaulted? Because if he was physically assaulted, that's a crime. And then you can take that to the police. Will he bugger? Because we all know how the police stand on this debate within the queer wars, they are not in agreement with the LGB Alliance, are they? No, they're in agreement with the LGBT Alliance. So how does the LGB group of this queer war ever get justice if they are victims of law breaking, such as being physically assaulted? And with the Spot the Rainbows captain here, and if you scroll down, the rainbow cars that the police are rolling out, they're not going to. They just are not going to at all.
The police seem to have, weirdly enough, picked a political side, which is, of course, against their principles, isn't it? They're not allowed to take political stances, but because we had the woman who, or the police woman who got fired for saying "Free Palestine" at a Free Palestine rally in London, right?
There's a whole host of problems with police partisanship in the last year. But the point I want to specifically go on here, we were driving back from the AA conference, and we overheard on the rainbows some idiots arguing about the rainbow cars, and they were being like, "Oh, there'll never be a problem with this. There'll never be a situation. You know, how unlikely is it that there's going to be a dispute about gay rights or something?" Well, we have it now. It literally happened the day after that event. And it's like, well, which side of this debate do the rainbow police of vice and virtue stand? It's obvious. And if you need proof, well, we have it from Lancashire Police. Literally the same day. So if you scroll up on this one, someone wrote about this. Security guard and I noticed and removed these disgusting stickers. What were the stickers? These horrible stickers. They said, "Trans women are men and have a penis." A factual statement. I don't know what else to say. And in response, the police responded, "Hi, Jamesy. This is really disappointing to see." Disappointed face emoji. "We are made aware on this day, and we removed immediately, and there are no further issues during the event. We take reports like this extremely seriously and have recorded it as a hate incident. Thanks." Lancashire Police, verified checkmark.
The voice in which you read that out.
I can't think of how else this guy types. But yeah, so Fair Cop, Harry Miller, has responded to this, so we go to the next one. This is fantastic. We've handed ourselves in, full details provided. So if you scroll down, you can see that he actually did, the mad lad. He literally called out the police. It was just like, yeah, I've done this. Like, emailed them. And, the incident report of him being like, yeah, I totally did this. Now what? Come and get me. Come and arrest me for it. I mean, what are you going to do? And he says in here, let's see how serious Lancashire Police really are. Because, someone dared to put up a sticker that said, people with penises probably aren't women. Women have vaginas. The Liz Truss position, the conservative position on what a woman is.
Stunning and brave.
Yeah.
I saw Harry Miller talk about the rainbow police cars on GB News, and that was very good as well.
Yeah, fantastic. But also there's the other point of like, well, okay, maybe you're still not convinced this is all nonsense. I don't know what kind of world you're living in where you think this is clearly a sane situation to be in. Well, let's go to the next cutting edge thing with an LGBT ideology. Not part of the LGB Alliance, definitely part of the LGBT group. What's this? Someone typing, "There are lesbians who like men. There are lesbians who are men. There are lesbians who are straight. There are lesbians who are bisexual. There are all this and more." I love Undoomed there. What do words even mean? There are lesbians who like men. Right, so what is that? That's someone who's in a lesbian relationship. They've got two women, right? They're two normal women in a relationship. They're lesbians. They're part of the L group. And then one of them decides that, actually, I think I've been a man all my life. I'm going to become a man. And now that lesbian likes a man. And they're still lesbians, even though one of them's a man, as we are told to must agree. But also there are lesbians who are men as well. So the lesbian in that relationship is also a man, but still a lesbian. And then there are lesbians which are straight because maybe they're dating a man and they've accepted that the trans man is a man, and therefore... I mean, just look
confused.
at it. I mean, I'm not going to waste any more time on this, but the police now have to answer this question. Look, if you're going to take the position of the LGBT group movement over the LGBs, I mean, you could just pick the traditional P-light position of being like, we're just the police. I don't give a toss. Like, we're just going to enforce the law. But no, you've given up that, and you want to endorse the LGBT plus movement. What is that answer to this question? I want to hear it. Anyway.
Is there even a question there? It's just a series of weird statements.
Do they agree with this? Do they think this? Yeah, this is totally true.
I don't think it's possible to understand this.
I want to see Cressida Dick endorsing it, though. Because if she doesn't endorse it, what a bigot. Let's move on. So if we go to just an example of, you may think, well, this has nothing to do with me. I'm not engaged in any of these groups. Well, do you like money? Do you pay taxes? Because, yeah, it does involve you. So you can just look here. These are the head of equality and diversity and inclusion groups within NHS trusts all over the country because of government-funded healthcare, taxpayer-funded healthcare. And costing the taxpayer, just on this list that David found alone, of £221,000. Just on this screenshot of, that's the conservative end of these salaries as well. I didn't bother to calculate the higher end of what it's going to cost us.
I have seen like £71,000 a year for the head of diversity and inclusion, which
Yeah, I mean, you can see
what
some
are you
there.
being paid for there?
70 grand there, 75 grand there for a head. And yeah, if the NHS ever complains about money again, I'm going to. So let's move on. That's a joke.
You can't say that.
That's a joke. I'm saying about the institution of people complaining. Just shut up. I don't want to listen to you. You've got hundreds of thousands of pounds going down the drain every year just on salaries of people who check the melanin of the different people who work for you. So let's move on to the US, because that's where we're going, because apparently the US is even worse than us. So we have a teacher here, California teacher, removes American flag, tells students to pledge allegiance to the pride flag instead. Amazing. Let's play the clip.
Okay, so during third period, we have announcements and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. I always tell my class, stand if you feel like it, don't stand if you feel like it, say the words if you want, don't have to say the words. So my class decided to stand but not say the words. Totally fine. Except for the fact that my room does not have a flag. It used to be there. But I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. And I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet. But my kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around, he goes, oh, that one?
So she took the American flag down during COVID, as she said, you might not have heard it, because it made me feel uncomfortable. Why? Because it represents a liberal world order, not a socialist world order. That's why. So she then got her kids to pledge allegiance to the racial pride flag, the one with the little pincer movement going on there, of the black and brown stripes with the trans phalanx behind them coming in for support. But again, I just can't get over how progressives look at this, and none of their brains even turn a cog. They just think, why did we segregate the black and browns into their own equal but separate stripes? But okay, just moves on. So yeah, that's where we're going in the UK, because the Americans are already there. And I presume this teacher is still working there and still indoctrinating her students.
I hope not. I can't imagine someone like that ever educating anyone's children or giving them anything of use.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is we do need to be on patrol. Thus, those of us on the right, for people engaging in such thinking. So let's go to the last link on that section, which is just to mention that they walk among us. So this is a Conservative MP. I think she's also, an apprentice for the Women's and Equalities Department minister position or whatever. But so there's the young Tories who all got together for some catch up, and they're all having a drink. So me and the boys.
They definitely look like young Tories to me.
Yeah, and she responds, all blokes, and then an emoji of a woman with the hands up and being upset because some guys got together from the young Tories to have a pint.
So what?
Yeah. She needs to be I think the rightists need to be on patrol for this kind of thing, especially within conservative movements. That is nonsense. And of course, she would not say the same thing if it was a group of women who got together. She'd be like, 100% diverse, so inclusive. It's like,
to the young Tories' credit, at least they're dressed far more smartly than a lot of Labour MPs do.
No, they're just more smarter than me. I mean, it's great aesthetics. I mean, again, trying to put them down for being men. Conservative MP. That's right, I'm a conservative. Thank you for watching this clip from the podcast The Lotus Eaters. If you want more from us, please go over to lotuseaters.com and subscribe to get access to all the premium content that we have on the site.
Yeah, we've got loads of really good stuff there. So we've been doing this for quite some time. So we've got a huge library of content in various different categories. Now, some of my favourites have been the book clubs. I'm personally a big fan of these because it means we get to read good books and important books, extract the useful information out of them, such as with this Roger Scruton's Where We Are, which is a very interesting conservative take on the current culture wars in the state of Britain at the moment. So we go through and explore the meaningful concepts. And here's one that you and Bo did with Frank Dicotta's Mao's Great Famine. It's absolutely brilliant and harrowing to read. And so when all the comments on this happened to be, well, this was vile, we knew we'd done a good job with it. And we also have many other premium series like the Contemplations, where Hugo and Josh just go through and find something very interesting to talk about, such as this one talks about the idea of political representation and does it work, or is it a bit of a myth? And of course, we have the history content, which probably my personal favourite in this particular one. Myself and Bo talked about the achievements of Frankish warlord Charles Martel. Do you know what he's famous for, Callum?
Stopping the Muslims at Tours.
That's right. And we also do a bunch of premium videos, and interviews and things like this. So in this one, we happen to have an interview with Michael Malice, who's a very, very charming guest, and I very much enjoyed this one. And we also do a bunch of premium podcasts about stuff that perhaps isn't appropriate for YouTube or various other platforms like that because of, some things outside of their editorial bounds.
So if you'd like to get access to all that premium content, please go over to lotusears.com and subscribe for as low as £5 a month.